This is one of the rooms down in my basement. The state I'm in has got a bottle redemption program. It started off in the middle 70s. It was called the Clean Ditch Law. They wanted to, they went around and looked at the trash that was in the roadside ditches, and they figured out that more than 75% of it were beverage containers that people had just pitched out the window as they were driving down the road. So they passed this law that said that every carbonated beverage container and liquor bottle, so that encompasses all of the distilled spirits, beer, wine, all of the soda pops, everything except for fruit juices. And this is a bottle of cranberry juice, and this has no it's got no redemption value other than putting it in the recycle container for the trash man to make his money when he gets a ton bale gathered up. But that's the background. About 5 years ago, I went through and I took it's a 37-mile round trip to drive into the town where there's a redemption facility and to turn these in at. The law that was passed said that when you buy a container at the store, you put a nickel down on the counter for the container, and then when you return it, you can redeem it for a nickel. There is absolutely no if the sky is blue, or if the guy that is in business to redeem these things wants to pay you a nickel. There's nothing like that. It says you pay a nickel, you get a nickel. So I gathered up I had each one of those bags holds 50 bottles. So I had them counted up, I had them loaded up, hauled up, and I went to redeem them. I could fit four containers in the trunk, and I had 6 in the back seat of my car. So that was 200 in the 200 in the trunk, and let's see, 6 would be 300 in the back seat. So I had 500 containers, and I went to get them redeemed, and I was informed that it was entirely too cost inhibitive for him to work for 5 cents to give me back 5 cents. And I heard this whole big tirade about how he was losing money, but he was still in the business to redeem cans. So he informed me that I having them in bags like this was completely unsatisfactory. So he sold me bags like this. These are provided by Pepsi Recycling, and they hold about 150 plastic bottles. There's one there. There's 3 here, so I got 600 bottles bottled up, ready to redeem. So bags like this were completely unsatisfactory. So he rejected me out of the line, sold me bags like this, which he gets for free from Pepsi. And then he made me drive out the door and around the building into his parking lot. And I had to take the bottles out of these trash bags, count them again, and put them into these bags here so that I could put them back in my trunk and drive through his building to get them redeemed. So he already knew that I had about 600, 500, whatever the count was, containers to redeem. And those went into four bags. And I drove into his facility, and then the person informed me that I had like 200 too many for this session of redemption. So I had to break open one of these bags. They told me I had to break open one of these bags and count out 50 and put them in my trunk. And then give them a short bag like this so that I can redeem them. And at that point I told him, no, I don't think that's going to happen. So I put the full bag in the trunk and I closed the lid. And they took the other three, and I watched them. They took them out of the alleyway that I had driven through, and they went into this side room, took a utility knife and split the bag that I had just bought up the side, and he gave it a big wide fling of his arm and threw all of those bottles loose into, he had a room that was, had like 15-foot ceilings, and it was about 100 feet long, and it was completely full of green bottles like this. Which kind of irked me. So I went, when I got up to the front and went to get my money, that's when I saw the line. That's where I saw the sign right above their pay window that said that they weren't providing a full nickel for each container. They were only paying 4 cents. So for the 450 containers that I had just provided for him, expecting to get a nickel apiece, he decided that he was going to only pay me 4 cents a piece for. Well, at that point, I went from anger level 4 to about anger level 9. And I also told him that I did happen to know the state legislator, and I do, because at that time he lived 6 miles from me, and I know his first name, I know his wife's first name, and they address me by my first name. So that's not a big, that's neither here or there. But I told him that I fully intended to pitch a bitch, and I did. I absolutely did, and I didn't let it go, because every 3 months I called him up and asked him specifically what he was doing at the State House about this, because I had just got robbed, and if they didn't pass the law saying that this administrative ruling was not a law, then what's the point of anything that he did down there? And I reminded him that about every 3 months. Anyway, 5 years later, now it's time to load these up. I was gifted some of these bags, so I've got enough. I've got 600 bagged up right now. I've got enough for another 300. and that'll make a load of 900 bottles. And now that I own a van, I'm going to load the 900 bottles up and drive 30 minutes south one way to redeem these at a center that I know pays an actual 5 cents. And that might actually pay for the gas that it's going to take to go get my nickel back. And then at that point, I'll get the bags come in a roll, and a roll about 4 inches across has about 10 bags in it. So I'll get another roll or two of bags, and then I'll rebag all of these, and then I'll make another trip. This looks like a huge pile, but once I pick all the Pepsi products out of here, the majority of these will fit into maybe 1 or 2 clear trash bags. At one point, up until just a couple months ago, I drank soda out of a green bottle exclusively, but since then I've stopped basically drinking soda at all. So now it's time to redeem all these bottles and free up a room, because now I have an actual plan on how to use this space for another use. This is an antique wood box. Before they came up with cardboard boxes, they made their merchandise boxes out of wood. So it's just an antique. No, it doesn't hold explosives, but it was just a cool box, and I didn't want to throw it away. So anyway, that was my rant for today, and we'll catch you later.